Hey everyone, Michelle back with another spooky Reddit read for you. Today we are on episode 64 and I have another sort of like time slip experience for you guys. It's titled, I Went Through a Town That Doesn't Exist, ? So this was posted on a subreddit about 7 months ago and it starts, for some context, I am a 25-year-old male. And this happened when I was 13. Yes, it's been a long time since it happened, but my family and I still talk about it to this day, as it did involve all of us. And while we still talk about it, I unfortunately have a hard time remembering the exact dates for some parts of it due to some head trauma. So that means some of the finer details I can't remember at this moment, but I know this happened sometime during the year 2012. I think it happened on our way from Washington to Oklahoma. We had made this trip several times, but I cannot remember if it was on our way to Washington or from Washington that year. But basically, we had been on the road all day. It was night, the sun had already set, and everyone was tired. We had 2 cars to fit everything. Me, my sister, and my mom rode in the SUV, while my brother and his girlfriend at the time, now wife, rode in a small 4-door car. We had been on a long stretch of road surrounded by pine trees on both sides. The GPS said we wouldn't reach another town for a good few miles, but there were lights just down the road. We thought maybe the GPS needed to be updated or something, because some small towns tend not to show up on these at the time. I don't remember the name of the brand we had, but you stuck it in the car window, plugged it into your car, and entered the address to pick your route. We usually took the same routes every time, depending on the time of year. Now I don't remember which route we took. It could have been during the summer or fall, but I could be wrong, excuse me. But we knew the routes by this point, and we did not expect this town. We came closer, and my brother called my mom, and the conversation went something along the lines of saying he was getting tired, and his girlfriend was already asleep, so she couldn't drive. My mom agreed that she may be too tired for once and needed to pull over and find a hotel in this town. He said all right, and he slowed to get behind us so he could follow us to pull over. At this point, everything seemed fine and nothing was out of the ordinary. It wasn't until we passed the sign with the name of the town on it that my gut started to twist. I remember watching as we neared the town, and there was just an inkling of a feeling that I didn't understand yet. Everything seemed fine, but I kept watching my surroundings as we drove. The lights had a sickly yellow or orange hue to them. I remember looking at the sign as we passed, but I can't remember the name of the town. And the funny thing, nobody can. No one has been able to. Yet we wrote it down that night and the day after so we don't come through it again. Anyways, we passed the sign and my gut just drops. At the time I didn't understand. What I was feeling was anxiety. I just remember thinking, we're being watched, but looking around there was no one. Well, yes, it was in the middle of the night, so people were probably asleep. There were no cars, buildings were empty, the air itself was stagnant as if we drove through it. Now, I know, kid me had a very active imagination, but my older brother can confirm this town was empty in a way it scared even him. We saw a church sitting on a small hill just to the right side of the town, and we drove up to it. We parked near the door as it was the only light in the gravel parking lot. Also, this was the only light that was white and didn't have a sick hue to it. We all stepped out of the cars to stretch our legs and find a hotel. My mom told me and my sister, who was about 9 to 10 years old at that time, to stay close, slipping in the fact that she has this creepy feeling as well. At the time, I dismissed the small statement and I just walk around the car to move my legs, and when something moves behind the big dumpster across the parking lot, the light on the door didn't reach all the way to the dumpster, and I could barely see its outline enough to know that it was even a dumpster. But something scattered along the gravel as if darting behind it. My mom hears this and orders me and my sister to get in the car. I stood staring for a moment before walking backwards to the car. For whatever reason, I didn't feel like turning my back to it. We waited in the car as my brother and his girlfriend get in the car and walked my mom to the SUV and helped her put the address in the GPS. Once it was set, he got in the car and we drove off. I couldn't get myself to look back at the dumpster as we drove off. We drive through the town, and again, everything seems eerily empty and clean. There was no litter, no trash, nothing that suggested life besides the streetlights that were on. We head to the edge of town, following the GPS, and turn onto this gravel road that led down a giant open surrounded by dense woods area. Sorry guys, some of the words and spelling in here is a little choppy. They do talk about having head trauma, so I wonder if that's why. So if you hear me slipping up, that it's difficult to read, but it's an interesting story. Okay, in said lot was the motel, and I don't mean the fancy hotel and motels now. This was just a 2-story L-shaped building with about 30 to 40 rooms, and the check-in was a separate small building just to the side of the hotel rooms. It only had one light in the parking lot besides the small ones above the doors. The light was a hollow white. We pulled in, and my mom called my brother and said to stay in the car, that she was going to talk to whoever was inside. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. The building was small, but the windows were big. We could see inside enough to watch our mother go in and talk to the guy at the counter. But here's the thing. Me, my sister, and my brother all saw different things. When our mother went in, I saw her talk to an old man who had a thin, frail stature and a permanent scowl. He seemed old, weary, and miserable. His eyes were slightly sunken in, his skin slightly pale and hanging slightly. My sister says she saw a young man who seemed nervous and annoyed, dark hair and deep eyes. My brother says he saw a middle-aged man who was aloof and uncaring, and he had a beard and dark hair. I can't remember all the details they gave me, but I know the main differences. When our mother came out, she got in the car and waved for my brother to follow. We parked in front of our rooms. She had gotten 2 side by side. We were told to only bring in the essentials for the night because she doesn't want to stay any longer than necessary in the morning. We all agreed and grabbed as little as we needed and headed into our rooms. My sister and my mother and I stayed in the right room, while my brother and his girlfriend stayed in the left. My sister had asked to take a shower, and of course our mother went to help her get it ready, as my sister wasn't sure how this one worked. Well, turns out it didn't. The water would not turn on. So she calls my brother and explains, and of course he comes to get her so she can shower in theirs. Well, they do go to do that. My mom looks at the beds, realizing I'm staring at them, and she goes, "You don't want to touch them either, do you?" And hearing I wasn't alone in this feeling, I smiled and I shook my head. I said, "It feels gross," and she said it does. She went to check the beds, and when my brother came running back to our room, he opened the door frantically, and of course it startled us. He said to pack my things and asked my mom to come here. She nodded and followed and began putting stuff back in my bag. My sisters came back over, and she looked freaked out. I remembered offering to help her pack and asking what happened, and at first she said she had a hard time trying to say it, but finally got it out, and there was blood in the shower that they went in. She freaked out and had Caleb check it, and when he came to get our mom, she came back and calmly said, "Put our things back in the truck and get in." And at that point it really hit how bad this place felt. I began to panic, and I hurried to put our stuff in the car. We got in, and my brother nor my mom wasted time driving away, not even stopping to get a refund for not staying or telling them about the blood. We turned to continue through the town onto the one we knew about. Unfortunately, my brother needed gas. Alright guys, this one is just long enough. I can't quite get it into one part, so this is going to be part 1, and there's going to be a shorter part 2 coming in a little bit. My videos are taking a little bit longer to upload right now, so as soon as this one's uploaded, I will get part 2 up for you. Thank you guys. Please hit those repost buttons for me. I really do appreciate when you hit all the buttons, and leave me some comments. Thank you.